or S6, they would be offered jobs to teach, pending going to further studies later. The university those days would start in July. So you had time to teach from end of January up to the beginning of July. I had therefore got a teaching job. Initially I went to Rukoni because I had already started my activism. Our activism, we were a group, it was not just me, we were quite a number. Our activism of wanting to cause socio-economic change among the traditional society. I hear some people calling those people peasants. Those people are not peasants. Some of them are actually rich, but they were still living in the traditional way of korra echida kyonka, working only for the stomach. That was the problem. Teach me each keken, as we say in law. So I had wanted to I went to Rukoni. I was posted there by the education officers who were in Barara. Somebody called Chitandwe posted me there, Rukoni. I'm the one who asked to go to Rukoni because I had wanted to go and work among those people. But when I go there, they were not enthusiastic. They were quite laid back. So I went back to the education office in Mbarara, and I found Nyanda there, Mzee Nyanda. He died recently. I said, I want you to send me to Nyabushozi to teach there. Nyanda said, Nyabushozi is very far. Will you manage Nyabushozi? It's very far. Then he looked on the map at the wall, said there was one position at Chinoni of Gempe, but it has been taken by somebody else. Now the only position which is there is in Burunga. Burunga is very far. You will not manage it. I said, that's why I want to go. Where people don't go, that's why I want to go. And indeed, Burunga is quite far from Barara. It is 90 miles. You can imagine, like from Kampala here to Bujiri, where would you get 90 miles? Igal is 75. It must be like Bujiri. That's how far it is. So I said, no, I want to go there. So he posted me there. It must have been March, because I had spent a month at Rukoni. Now, when I got there, I found these people actually were semi-traditional. They were not as traditional as the ones of Rukoni, because some of the Rukoni were still Bakafiri, had not joined the modern religion. But these ones of Burunga, as Enos Museveni was saying, many of them were Barokore, were church people, church and born again, but they had no idea about income generation. Very little, no clear way of how to become a modern society. And that was our mission. Of course, we had a little bit of, when I come to churches, I always listen to the messages, which I partially share, not wholly. Even that time we had those mixed messages, because some of those were saying, here we are visitors on earth. Omusiri abagenyi ekayito yorberera yentura eri mu iguru. Our permanent home is in heaven. That's all right. Then ebyensi n'omushenyi. Worldly things are like they think the Wanyankole think Museveni is useless. Actually, it's very useful Museveni. So you can see how confused they are. But for them, Museveni means something useless. The real gifts are in heaven. So, what do we do? Like my late father, Mzee Kaguta, died when he was 97. Now, to get a visitor of 97 years, he's just a visitor waiting to go to heaven. Actually, I was a member of the Scripture Union, but those were some of the reasons why I withdrew from the Scripture Union and stood aside. So, but I will say something about that later. So, when I went to teach, that's why I found these young people, Tumwine, Enos there, others, they're also there. There are quite a number of others, but they were there. So I was teaching them, but I was also interested in the society, how to change that, and I tried to tell them about this. It's a long story, but that's how I came to, and this Tumwine actually one day followed me. I spent a night at one of the younger people called Bwandanda. He was somewhere there towards the river. And I was telling him about socio-economic transformation, commercial farming, doing commercial farming with H1. The message we are giving now, this PDM, Parish Development Model, that's what we are telling them. So that's where I saw Tumwine as a student. I think it was like in P7. I think Enos was in P6 or something like that. There was a brother of Enos called Enoka. They were quite, and other young people. So that's how I first saw Tumwine. And Tumwine followed me at Wandanda's place. He told me later that he had me I didn't remember, but he told me that he had me preaching to this Wandanda man about socio-economic transformation. Now, much later, 1979, when we captured Mbarara, you heard how we started recruiting that big number of recruits, 9,000 of them, whom we recruited in that area. And Tumwine was one of them. And then we said people who have finished O level and above can go for officer cadet school in Monduli in Tanzania. The ones from NASA, the ones from Obote's group, Chikos Marum, but I think they also included the new recruits. That's how the Katumbas joined, who are not part of Fronasa or Chikos Marum. So they went to Monduli, 300 of them. And then other people went to Jinja for senior NCO course. People like General Ivan Koreta and General Sare, they went for senior NCO course. Then they were also commissioned when they came out. Now, our politics was not settled, so we had to now prepare for a new fight. Because our partners of UPC were playing games, they didn't know what, they didn't care what had happened in the years of Amin. They wanted to start again. We warned them, I don't know what they thought. Then we started planning for a new fight to really see how to rescue this country, because life was so insecure. People were, it was heading towards the darkness, where people didn't care about life. Now, when we attacked, now that attack of Kabamba, and I don't know how I will link up with the church people so that we can talk the same language. I don't know whether I will write a small document. You see, my experience, I have seen two things. First, and I keep telling Mama, because in the book of Genesis, God created us, you remember, on Saturday. That gentleman, Adam, you remember that Adam? Created him on Saturday, and his wife, I think a few hours later. He created Adam in the image of God, and he gave him the mandate. In the book of Genesis it says to establish dominion over nature. You are not just a creature, you are not like the cow, you are not like the goat, you are not like the pig. You are created in my own image of God. And I command you to establish dominion over nature. That is really but when you do whatever you do it for the glory of God and for the benefit of man. And when Jesus came, he repeated this. I don't know why the religious people don't bring it out. He said, love God with all your heart, with all your might, the two summary of the commandments. And love your neighbor as you love yourself. So God and neighbor. And the mandate to establish dominion of nature. In our NRM language, we say taming nature, to tame nature. Now, these wars of ours, you can really see the two sides. And even our traditional people, they say, Rubare Mbera, Nembero Kotade. Now, that attack, we talk of the attack of the 6th of February, where Tumwine fired the first shot. That journey, you could see the hand of God and the efforts of man together. Because the plan was, we drove from here in the evening of the 5th in a lorry with the fighters in the back of the lorry with the Tumwine like bananas. And the plan was because we had internal collaborators within the barracks, get to the quarter guard, the gate, and deceive the gate man. And Tumwine was in front. Tumwine was in front because he was an officer with the Nyota. To say, we are bringing supplies to you people from the headquarters. Then from the quarter guard, drive, recently my daughter who is very much interested, Natasha, I told her to go and measure the distance. And she measured it. I think it is 400 and something meters. So that we deceive the gate man that we are bringing supplies, and he allows us through. But a small car with some Magara and a few people drives past and enters this underground armory. This armory is concrete, it is underground. Because what we wanted were guns. Maybe there I should tell you something else. Because I'm trying to summarize the wrong story, but I want to know you to know more about, because Tumwine is here, we may not get another chance. Because by the time Amin fell, on the 11th of April, we had a big force there in Barra of 9,000 people, including the Tumwines, armed already. So when Amin fell, then we had to form one army with the Obotes, Chikos Marum, other groups. So we had to surrender our guns to the new army, UNLA, Uganda National Liberation Army. Now, some of my people, led by Otafwire, and that's why I want you that's why I want you to know about God. Led by Otafwire, they said, we should not hand in all our guns. Because Tomanya, these UPCs may turn against us. So we should hide, like 2,000 guns, hide them somewhere for the rainy day. I rejected that. It was a big struggle. I rejected that. I said, this is terrible. How can I be a member of the Uganda National Liberation Front, a member also vice chairman of the military commission, and I take part in hiding guns and saying we have handed all the guns when we have not. This is terrible. God does not like it. Principals don't like it. And also strategically, it is very risky, because suppose it leaks now, who will ever trust us again? So both spiritually, morally, and strategically, it is a mistake. So I rejected Otafwire's idea. It was a big struggle, because he had a constituency who were in his right. that we should hide some guns. So when the UPC, in their foolishness, stand against us, again, like the Tafiris were saying that they would betray us, now we had the problem how to get our guns again. So, but these army officers of ours who had joined the joint army, they knew where these guns were. One big cache was at Kabamba. Then the other one was at Masindi. Then there was Mubende. Then there was Nakasongora. So when we analyzed, we found it was easier to capture the guns at Kabamba. And that was the whole operation. Come with 2 cars, two vehicles, a lorry with the force in the back, a pickup with some Magara and a few other people. Tumwine engages the people at the quarter guard in a friendly way. When while the pickup passes and enters the underground, and we timed to attack at 8 a.m. in the morning. Why did we time 8 a.m.? Because first of all, there was a very big force there of trainees by the Tanzanians. I think there were like 2,000 being trained. But we knew that by 8 o'clock they would have gone away to train. They would not be in the barracks. That was number one. But number two, the armory would be open. The armory people would be cleaning and so on and so forth. So the idea was, we come, the fighting group is in the back of the lorry. I think the lorry was being driven by Rutaya. I think it was Rutaya was driving that lorry, and Rutaya. Then the pickup of Magara bypasses, enters the armory by surprise, and then we get the guns and load them. So, problem number one, and I will show you people who don't believe in God, or who believe in Him in some modified way. The first problem, we had now arranged that the lorry goes ahead. I stay behind with some Magara. We drive later in Magara's pickup and catch up with them before Kabamba, to park and wait for the morning, because we're going to attack in the morning. We went following the lorry, past Masaka. At Katugondo, we had passed Katugondo a little bit. The tire burst of Magara's pickup. It was being driven by a man called Rutarago. I think Rutarago is a big man now. I charged him, but he defended himself. So when the tire burst, I thought they had a spare tire. The people did not have a spare tire. So what do we do? This is now like, it was like 9 o'clock in the night. We tried to knock at, we could see there were lights in houses. We tried to knock for help. They refused to open because they were fearing. So I had now to walk back from Katugondo to Nyendo on foot. When I got to Nyendo, I told, I had money, I hired a taxi. They took me to Riondo. Do you remember Riondo? Riondo, he was the town clerk of Masaka, the father of Lumumba. You can see how God was in all this, because all this could have misfired, could have. Fortunately, I find Riondo there. I tell him a lie. I think Christianity allows lies. for good purposes. I told Riondo a lie that I was going for a wedding in Zimbabwe. The car has had a problem. Could he lend me his car? Because they were going to waiting. Riondo gave me his, there were vehicles called Peugeot 304. Gave it to me. I drove, got to, now Rutarago says, I thought I had gone back alone. But Rutarago says we went back together. That one I don't remember. But anyway, we went where the pickup was. I think we left Rutarago there, and Magara and myself now drove and found our lorry parked at a junction called Rumejere. There's a junction, Rumejere, there's where you go to, I think Rumiyaga. The lorry was parked there, and people didn't know what was happening. They were worried. So we caught up with them. We drove up to Makori and waited for morning to come. Now I had to sit in the back, in the Tundubari, because I was a bit well known. I had been a minister and so on. So these soldiers would have suspected me. So that's why Tumwine sat in front to receive the quarter guard man, and we go. So that first firing actually was a mistake. When Tumwine fired, it was a mistake. He should not have fired. And even people were a bit angry with him. Because the lorry stopped at the quarter guard, I was in the back. I had the vehicle of Magara passing, going to the drive-in. Then I had a shot. So when Tumwine fired, there was a Tanzanian corporal who was near the armory. He had the shot. He saw Magara's vehicle rushing. He went inside the armory and got a machine gun. So by the time the group went there, the man was already in, and this is a concrete bunker. So after we were blaming Tumwine that he had panicked. He should not have fired. He should have wrestled with the man physically until we had entered the armory. But this is where I want you people to know, you non-believers. Actually, this was God who did this. God used Tumwine to fire by mistake, actually. But it was God's plan. Why? So anyway, to cut a long story short, when the Tanzanians got in the armory, our people could not get in. So the big guns which were there, we could not get them. They briefed me. I remained here at the quarter guard. They briefed me. They went in the houses, captured vehicles, captured guns which were in the houses. And I decided that now let's move on. Because if we stay here, the government army may counterattack. So we got like 8 lorries, drove and put in some of our recruits, of our people, Kabamba, who were collaborating with us, like the late Brigadier Kanyankoro. Kanyankoro was training, part of the plan, but it was training. But there are others who joined us. And we drove through Kasambia, then we branched Nabingora, Chenjojo, Kagadi, then we turned, came to this Chivale, Karuguza, Isimba. We went capturing guns from petrol stations, and by 2 a.m. we entered Chiboga town, where we had some collaborators, and went and camped at a place called Kagobe. This was now the night of the 6th. So the following morning, we were in that Chiboga Hills, those Chiboga Hills, but we had few manpower. We were only about 40 something. The ones who had guns were 27. So the 8th were there. On the 9th, the Tanzanians attacked us. And that's why I'm telling you about God. God used Tumwine to spoil the plan so that we don't capture the guns, and the guns are then recaptured by the Tanzanians, because we had no manpower to carry the guns. That's why I'm telling you that really God works in amazing ways. So, although we had some argument with Tumwine, but we said, okay, we shall arrange again. Now, to cut a long story short, on New Year's Day, 1985, 5 years later, we now came back for the same guns. But first of all, I had to reconnoiter. I had to send reconnaissance. Is Mugume Chaga here? Mugume Chaga is not here. I had to send Mugume Chaga to reconnoiter, to check whether those guns were still there. And we had plans. How do we know the guns are there? After 4 years. This was now like 84, 85, 84. Then we made a plan. First we wanted to capture soldier, put chloroform in him, make him sleep and take him away. Then I called Besige. I said, can we do this? Besige said, no. If you try to use chloroform when you don't know, the person will die. Then we said, okay, so how do we know? So again, how God works. So Mugume Chaga went. These soldiers of UNLA liked drinking alcohol. So they would go to a place called Nkonji and drink and come back walking through the footpath. So the plan was Mugume puts on gunpoint a soldier who is alone and takes and kidnaps him and asks him whether the guns are there or not. So Mugume goes and lies in wait. A lonely soldier comes. Mugume puts him on gunpoint. The person whom Mugume puts on gunpoint is very well known to Mugume. Can you see how God works? So when Mugume puts him at gunpoint, the soldier said, Mugume Ta'ita. Mugume don't kill me, he recognizes him. They have not seen one another for 4 years. Then Mugume, the soldier was called Tindubachira. So instead of kidnapping him, Mugume says, all I want to know, are the guns still there? Tindubachara says, the guns are still there. So now you go back, they set up a communication system, how they can keep checking. So now that we are sure that the guns were still there, now we come now. Big force now, under Sade. The attacking, we came with a force of 1,500. But when we got on the way, we started breaking. Some soldiers started collapsing and so on. So I decided to cut them into two. A force of 700 under Sare, and I think people like Mugume would have been part of that. 700 all armed to go and attack. This time we used Magazgawaganda, but Magazgawaganda from Ankole. Muammar Gaddafi had given us landmines, which we are using to blow up the UPC people, the soldiers. But this time we were merry with a few. So I told them, I said, what you do, because the soldier may do like what the Tanzanian did, may run into the underground armory and not allow you to go there, even if you have captured the barrack. So I told them, Ekiteko is a size of mesh where they put milk pots. I think Bishop Ruere saw them the other day. It improved his knowledge. So I told them to put the mine in Ekiteko, in a mesh of kamba, and suspend it and put it at the mouth of the armory, because you can be on top. It is underground, and then detonate it so that you kill the other person. For me, I thought, I didn't know it would kill. I thought it would disorient. So that's what they did. When Saleh came, the force was so big, the soldiers of the barracks ran away. This is now New Year's Day, 1985. The guns which God saved on the 6th of February, they are still there. So on New Year's Day, 1985, Saleh comes with a big force, puts these soldiers run away. But a soldier goes inside wanting to repeat what the Tanzanians did. But we had arranged, they put the Kiteko, pushed it from up with the long stick, and detonated. The poor fellow died there. And we got all the 650 rifles. So you can see now, Tumwine, God used Tumwine really to make us start the war, but not to go too far before we were ready, and kept the guns for us for 1985. This is Tumwine's now being used by God. Secondly, Tumwine, in the reorganization, he was posted in Masindi. So he knew the Masindi barracks very well. And in the plan to attack, we had looked at Masindi. But from the quarter guard to the armory, very far, about 1.5 kilometers. That's why we went for Kabamba instead. But Tumwine knew Masindi. So we planned for it. And Tumwine linked us with a man called Kaka. You know Kaka? Kaka recently was in ISO, he had some issues, but he did a very good job. This Kaka was, I don't know what, he was a civilian in the town of Masindi. So, Tumwine told us there is a contact called Kaka. We went and got him. He came and joined us. I don't remember how he came, but when he came, we found that Kaka knew Masindi. Now, among the people working in the barracks was a grass cutter. This grass cutter knew everything about the barracks. He would sleep there, he would cut during the day and go and sleep outside. Now, Kaka recruited this one. So again, we knew the guns were there from the grass cutter. But the problem was, how were the barracks at night? Because we were going to attack very early in the morning. Were the soldiers ready? So again, I sent him Mugume Chaga, you go. He went. He went, and the soldiers were coming from drinking. He joined them and went and stayed near the barracks until morning. There was no alert. So we came. Masindi was a big success. We had 760 guns from there. This is Tumwine's work, Masindi. So therefore, and Tumwine, you have heard his gifts about music, about all those ones. I'm not very clear myself. But the transformation and the love for the Ankole cows. I remember Tumwine coming to Kisozi with these children. They were young. There were two. There was the boy and the girl and the boy. I think the girl was older. When you came to Kisozi, who were the girl? Who was the girl? Stand up and I see you. The Kisozi one. Oh, that's the one. And then there was the boy who was younger. So, Tumwine and all these other people have joined the socio-economic transformation of that rural area. And I'm sure when you go there, you will see what they have done. And therefore, people who are insulting Tumwine, they are wasting their time, because Tumwine is somebody who has accomplished. Is somebody who has accomplished so much. Now, coming to Bishop Mhima's sermon, which I support, but I would like also to add my small addition. It is not true that before Christianity, Africans, Banyankore, did not believe in the continuation of life. For them, they believed in continuation of life. What do you call it? Perpetuation? Perpetuation of life. They believed in perpetuation of life through the children. When you have children, you are eternal. That was our eternity. So, and I don't think it is correct to dismiss that. Because the Banyankore knew that if you did not have children, your lineage is terminated. So therefore, I think the religion should find a way of accommodating that. Posterity through children. eternity through children. Like Tumwine has not died. He's here. He is abundantly here. He was one, now he has got I don't know how many people there. That's number one. Orzaro is part of eternity. Secondly, the Oktunga. Because why did God put us here on earth? If he wanted us only to be in heaven, why did he bring us here? He brought us here so that we also do something here. Improve here. So, what we do on earth really matters. So I think the church should find a way of encouraging that. Because if we don't do that, if we say, if you are rich, you are going to die. If you are poor, you are going to die. So what do we do now? We should all be poor so that we don't waste time. No. For me, I think the Orzaro, the prosperity through children, the prosperity through wealth creation, the prosperity through, what do you call?
Posterity.
Huh?
Posterity.
Eternity through development, eternity through descendants, eternity through actions, ebikorwa. We are now here quoting what St. Paul said. You have been quoting St. Paul here. What he wrote to Timothy, what he wrote to that, up to now, 2,000 years. We are quoting what he said and what somebody did. So I think these three must be captured. Eternity through children, eternity through development, eternity through actions, good acts. Then, also, value addition. Because me, once I leave Muhozi, I'm already eternal here. You stand up. You see how eternal I am here. When I die, this person is here. She's called Kukundeka. She's called after her grandmother's name. But why should I only go through Kukundeka and end up in Gehenna? I think that's what you should tell me. Why don't I also take that branch? And while the Kokundekas are continuing here, I also go to heaven. That very addition I totally support. So therefore, what is my little message? You can hear, like for instance, this operation of Kabamba, it was our effort, but with God's direct intervention. Why was Ruyondo at home when I went to look for a car? Suppose he was not there, what would I have done? Maybe I would have robbed a car at gunpoint in Nyendo. That would have prematurely alerted the security forces and so on. But you can see it is God's action which was involved in supporting our actions. Therefore, my advice, always avoid evil. Like resisting Otafuiri's of resisting Otafuire's evil idea of being a leader who is dishonest. Now, and people who do that are people who want shortcuts. Because I told them, I said, let's hand in all the guns. If we need them, we shall get them. Of course, it costs us a bit of effort to get them back, but we got them back. We got the guns of Kawamba back. We got the guns of Machine back. We got the guns of Hoima back. We got all these guns. So therefore, my conclusion, really, from watching what I've been going through, is avoid evil, believe in God, and as Tumwine was saying, do the best, do what you like, what they were quoting, God will reward you. Finally, Tumwine was a resilient man because he was injured badly at Bukomero. I had gone out for a few months. When I came back, I found he had been injured. He was injured. He was brought by our network. Dr. Gwasaze, there were people who were looking after him. Dr. Gwasaze, they looked after him until he healed and came back and joined us. He didn't say, because I've been injured, let me stay out. No. He came back and continued and has been continuing. And it's not only him. Sare was injured in both arms. All these men of these people, some of our people were injured. So that spirit of patriotism, of sacrifice, you the young people, you should learn from it. Now, finally, you can see the family now. The other day I was on Patience's function, who are looked at as the Banyang, those Banyankwere are fond of. Don't worry about them, Johnny. Don't worry about those fellows, these Ugandans. Because when we were fighting, I mean, especially the Banyankore, for them they have a problem with their mouth. When we were fighting, I mean, they were calling us Everare, that we were Everare, vagabonds. That we were vagabonds because we had left jobs. A job of Amin, working under Amin, you call it a job. For us, we were despising those jobs. But for them, they thought that to be clever, you had to be under Amin, whether they kill you or what. For us, we decided to fight. But we fought. By the time we came, you heard what they were calling us. We are now no longer Berare, we are now Moses. We had changed from Weberare, from vagabonds, we had become Moseses, we had become David who killed Goliath. Now, so children, don't think about those fellows who are talking nothing. The Tungama people have got their bad ways of talking. We are Gambok Shankena. Just I said something like nothing, like something which it doesn't. So I am here to give this little testimony on General Tumwine. Dying at 68, he was still young, but he had achieved a lot. And I'm very happy to hear people saying that he died a satisfied man. That's what Enos is the one who was saying that. That he died a satisfied man. So, with these few words, may the Almighty God rest his soul in eternal peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.